Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. Just a joy to be with you here this morning. I just want to remind you that no matter what else is going on in your day today, there's a presence within you that you can count on. There's just that God Spirit at the very center of your life. And regardless of whatever else is occurring, just kind of feel that presence and allow it to be with you during our service and afterwards. Just a couple of announcements. First of all, if you're able to join us Monday evening from 7 to 8 for our meditation, I highly recommend it. It's extremely helpful. But then especially this evening, Sunday, from 6 to 7:30, we'll be having the fourth in our talks on spirituality. In this particular talk tonight, we'll be talking about one's relationship to the divine in our role as part of that divine plan. Please try to join us from 6 to 7:30. Be happy to have you. Let's begin. My dear friends, I continue to be moved by how responsive so many of you have been to the promptings of pure God Spirit. As each one of us takes more time to listen to the voice of the God Spirit within us, the more we're able to hear that voice and allow it to occupy its central place within us as our direction in life. I applaud you that you are now listening less and less to the voices from outside of you and listening more and more to that singular voice that is within you, that singular voice of the God Spirit giving you direction. I think that we're all proceeding very beautifully in spirit. It is precisely this sense of listening to your inner voice that I would like to elaborate on in today's teaching entitled, Whose Way? Whose Way? I will begin with a Frank Sinatra song. I think probably each one of you has heard it on numerous occasions. Proceed to see how one's way, in a sense, can be stunted, and then direct the teaching into an expanded way, clearly presenting whose way to be the Spirit's way. If all of these ways have got you a little uncertain, let me try to give direction. So let's begin. The 1960s. The 1960s were a turbulent time in American history. Not only was it the time of the Vietnam War, but there was also the social protests concerning equal voting rights and civil rights as well. It was quite a decade. But there were two events that occurred at the end of the decade that kind of encapsulated not only the 1960s, but also set a direction in a far more inclusive way in American society. The first event in 1969 that everyone pretty well knows was the Woodstock Festival from August 15th to 18th. Truly, Woodstock set the tone for a social revolution far beyond the political arenas of war, voting rights, and civil rights. The Flower Children, perhaps one of you was one of the Flower Children, and the free love concepts of Woodstock set a futuristic tone of freedom that has initiated so many of the social revolutions here in American society, from women's rights to gay rights. However, before the Woodstock event in August, there was another event, not nearly as initially significant, but yet was a focal point that supported the Woodstock event in the sense of freedom. That event was the release of Frank Sinatra's song, My Way, in early 1969, a few months before Woodstock. The song had the inherent message that spoke to the hearts of individuals and still speaks to the hearts of many people today. Regardless of who sings the song nowadays, When one hears the words, I did it my way, I did it my way, something just stirs within you. I did it my way. Thus, I want to examine the phrase, I did it my way, to examine its truth and yet also its limitations. I trust that this teaching will be helpful to you, although I think it's important to truly understand whose way is really my way. Initially, the notion of doing it my way was a call to respect the freedom of each individual to follow their own direction in life. So that when one said that I will do it my way, it meant that you would, well, not do it your parents' way. You would not do it society's way. You would not do it your friend's way, but rather you would do it your way, whatever that meant to you at the time. I'm sure you were moved by those words. While doing it my way had such an important truth to it, it also unfortunately had an inherent limitation. First, the truth. Doing it my way so beautifully released the sense of freedom within people. People maybe for the first time really felt free to be able to step forward and to do it my way. Of course, my way had both good and bad points that came up with it, but the risk always seemed to be worth it. There was something so freeing within those words that just spoke to people. I want to do it my way. It gave them a confidence to come forward and to speak their truth and to stand up for the freedom to do so. One cannot minimize the importance of the truth, of being able to stand up for one's belief and to do it my way. Now, the inherent limitations. The inherent limitation of doing it my way was also the inherent limitation of the Woodstock event. Let me explain. The countercultural revolution of the 1960s knew clearly what it wanted to be free from. It wanted to be free from social constraints that belittled human dignity. But the countercultural revolution did not have in place, it did not know what it wanted to be free for. It's one thing to know what you don't want. It is quite another to know what you do want. Easy to be against things, sometimes not quite so sure what to be for. And to be able to put your desires, what you want to be free for, into a realistic and sustainable lifestyle that brings you happiness, and through your happiness to raise the quality of the social good, whether it be in your family, at work, or simply in society with your friends. Being more specific, many people found out that doing it my way was essentially not any better, than doing it in their parents' way, or their friends' way, or society's way. Was not any better. While the initial freedom of doing it my way felt good, oftentimes the results were less than satisfying, often leading to depression, and especially leading one doing it my way to often be in conflict with another one who was also doing it my way. Relationships became much more difficult. Whose way would it be? My way or your way? And of course, many said it's either my way or the highway. We've all been through those experiences. And while the freedom of saying these words, it's my way or the highway, felt good at the moment, it often led to aloneness and a great lack of fulfillment, with addictions very easy to follow. Begin to question whose way? Whose way? Had to get a legitimate answer. Let's now examine that expanded way, that legitimate answer, by first realizing the inherent limitation of any way that is simply and only my way, the limitation of any way that is only my way, and then proceed to understand whose way might bring clarity to the situation of whose way is really more helpful. First, let's examine the inherent limitation of doing it my way. The inherent limitation of doing it my way was a lesson that we have learned lifetime after lifetime, namely doing it my way simply from the human perspective, doing it my way from simply the human perspective eventually leads to a long list of disappointing results as people try to meet the expectations of others, or worse, less, try to really control others in the process. Not that there aren't good moments when things really feel good and doing it my way has some nice results, but eventually, the simple results show a story that often fails in people's lives. Because so many times, in a sense, what they're doing is they're trying to find my way out there. And often, in trying to pursue what is out there, seem to fail to understand the internal happiness in the individual. The Buddha was really good at recognizing how many people suffer because they are not happy, because, well, they did it their way only. Not only would it result in illness, aging, and death, as the Buddha said, but the Buddha also had such a way of explaining these tough problems that people would have doing it simply my way. The Buddha would say that some of those tough problems are being tied to people in situations you'd like to be free from. It's pretty interesting. Being tied to people in situations you'd like to be free from. Could be family, in the workplace, or your friends. Or, unfortunately, being separated from the people and situations you'd like to be connected to. Again, personally, at work, with friends. And if that wasn't enough, the Buddha would then even say that your successes are only very temporary. They're going to quickly pass. And then he would ask that very piercing question, even when things are good, on good days, how happy are you deep down? Truly, the inherent problem with doing it my way, the inherent problem of trying to do it my way, has led to another question that is even more significant. The question really is there another way? Is there another way than simply my way? Or are you just stuck with doing it your way? That's a good question, and it needs a good answer. Yes, there is another way, than simply your way, but it takes time and attention to develop. And this other way basically depends on how you see your life and coming to an understanding of the importance of your life. And yet understanding that your life is a part of maybe another way. Let me repeat this, that your life is part of another way that is really the way. That your life is a part of another way that is the way. This takes some understanding, but when understood, it opens up the beauty of life. So the first step in doing it your way is to be able to listen to the inner guidance of your soul, to look within. What is it that feels right to you? So many people fail right at the start because they are misguided in two ways. First, most people have a tendency just to look outside of themselves. What can I acquire? Relationships, money, situations, whatever it might be. But secondly, and this is a much more difficult one, for many people, the biggest problem is they don't have the tools. They don't have the tools or the guidance to go within. The first step of going within, because as one does this, they begin to realize that there is an inner guidance to their soul. This inner guidance, this inner feeling, is what many people just don't have the tools to do. It's so important for us to know these tools and to follow these tools. For when you do so, you begin to find as you go within that you often have what we call a soul contract. This is a wonderful discovery for people, and they begin to feel like there is an inner calling, that something within them feels right, and that they can be enthusiastic about. And the fulfilling of the soul's contract, and the fulfilling of the soul's contract is the beginning of seeing your way as a part of the way. Fulfilling your soul's contract is the beginning of seeing your way as part of the way. As you begin to examine your soul contract, doing it your inner way, doing it your inner way, you begin to realize that your soul also has a guidance. Your soul is being guided by a larger, more universal energy that we often call the God Spirit or the Holy Spirit. You begin to realize there is an alignment between your soul and the God Spirit. Your soul thus becomes a conduit of the God Spirit's guidance, and it willingly follows that guidance, so that your way, the way of your soul, is a participation in the way. When your soul is guided by the Spirit, the God Spirit, you begin to realize that your way is the way. Thus, the words "doing it my way" make perfect sense when you realize that doing it my way does not mean in a worldly way, but rather that following the guidance of your soul as a participation in the larger universal God Spirit. That's the way. Following the guidance of your soul under the universal God Spirit. That's the way. The goal is to eventually understand the merging of your soul's way with the way of the God Spirit. That's the goal, to merge what's going on within you as part of the larger God Spirit. Then you begin to realize that the way has become your way. That is really the spiritual meaning of doing it my way, where my way is really the merging of your soul, your way, in the God Spirit, God's way. Whose way is it? It becomes our way. Let me repeat that. This is really the spiritual meaning of doing it my way, where my way is really the merging of your way as the soul in God's way as a spirit within your soul, so that whose way is really our way. This is such a big teaching. There's one more thing to understand. As you listen to the God Spirit guiding your soul with its intuitions, you begin to realize that doing it now in this merged sense of your way in God's way yields such a beautiful result. And may I just suggest to you these two very beautiful things. The first one, you will have such a wonderful understanding that wherever you are meant to be. What an incredible understanding of life. Wherever I am is exactly where I'm meant to be. And secondly, you will be there joyfully. You will be there joyfully, doing it your way, bringing the God Spirit into a fullness within yourself and with others. We are well on our way, well on our way, well on our way. In conclusion, when you hear someone sing that song, I did it my way, I think you'll probably smile to yourself and fully understand that doing it my way has really been a journey in spiritual awareness to come to know whose way it really is. Your way as a part of God's way, which has now become our way. Thou is me is thee. We are one, thou and me. We are now doing it our way. Thou is me is thee. We are one, thou and me. We are now doing it our way. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Let us begin our meditation today by simply allowing the breath to do what it does. Let it relax our bodies, calm our minds, and especially bring the inner you to the fore. Please begin. Just nice, easy breathing. And would you just say to yourself, here I am, here I am. This is the inner me. This is my soul self. And when you hear that song, I did it my way, there's something that rings true within you. Just something within you that says, my way is a very holy and beautiful way. It rings true. Something within you that becomes enthusiastic, that wants to express itself. Your way, and you're right. But you have come to realize that your way is not the world's way. Your way is not by pushing or shoving, trying to take advantage of people, outdoing others, sometimes trying to control. You just realize that your way is not the world's way. That's a big understanding. It's taken years for many of us to understand this. Your way takes into consideration all of the things you have to do in the world. Takes into consideration all of the things you have to do, but you don't have to do them in a worldly way. Your way is much more one of love and kindness, support and encouragement. You have come to understand that what rings true to your soul is not so much success and achievement in the world, but what rings true to your soul is being in alignment with the God Spirit at the very center of your soul. Do you not see how you have progressed? At the very center of your soul, you've come to recognize the God Spirit consciously. Would you just take a moment now to affirm that? I consciously recognize the God Spirit at the very center of my soul. It's my guidance. Doing it my way has become a combination. It combines the Holy Spirit's guidance for you and you individualizing that guidance. You are a soul spirit. Doing it your way has sincerely, genuinely, honestly become doing it our way. Now, here's the most important point of our service this morning. Would you just place your hand over your sternum, over your heart space? And when I say to you these words, I'm doing it our way. I'm doing it our way. Would you just notice how good and right it feels? Notice that you're not in your head trying to get something. That you are much more in your heart space. Isn't this the way you want to be? You're smart enough to navigate what you need to in the everyday world. You're smart enough to do that. But the real question is, are you kind enough and loving enough to make it a joyful exploration for you, for others, and for the divine? That's the question. You're smart enough, but are you kind enough, loving enough for it to be a joyful journey? Deep
within, peace resides, faith abounds, and love abides. The light shines bright to illumine love without, love within. I honor thee, I honor thee. Namaste, I honor thee. I honor thee. I honor thee. Namaste. I honor thee. When you are where you need to be, within that space, I honor thee. Seeing through eyes an illusion, seen through spirit, I honor thee, I honor thee, I honor thee. Namaste, I honor thee. I honor thee, I honor thee. Namaste, I honor thee. Namaste, I honor
It's really a great song. I did it my way. That it takes on beauty and power when your way is the Spirit's way. Let's continue to help each other to do it our way. Namaste.